This is grueling work. The shift begins at 7 in the morning, and before the end of the day, the men must lay pipes covering a distance of 5 kilometers. They work in teams. One places the pipes on the surface, then another moves in and welds them together. A third team does a second phase of welding before the pipes are placed in trenches 2 meters below the ground. This is a $4 billion project undertaken by a consortium of oil companies led by ExxonMobil. When complete, it'll provide landlocked Chad with a market for its crude oil. Construction work began in October of 2000, including the development of 3 oil fields in Chad's Doba Basin. ExxonMobil and its partners say the Doba oil reserves will last 25 to 30 years. Environmentalists say the project also threatens Cameroon's rainforests, a vegetation already under threat from nomadic farmers, hunters, and unregulated logging. Villagers will be allowed to replant crops on the land, but no trees or houses. The World Bank's involvement in the project has been criticized by some, especially since an internal report released in September said the project will harm the environment. But the bank says there is an independent advisory group established to ensure that all involved comply with environmental standards.
We are using or working with external partners to ensure that there's compliance. And I think that's about as much as the bank or these governments can do. And if the oil companies were to step out of line, I think we've got enough leverage to ensure that they meet their commitments.
Many of the people here are farmers and will lose a significant number of their crops and farmland. Towns along the pipeline route are in dire need of roads, more schools, hospitals, and other essentials. Critics say the project brings no such development to these communities. ExxonMobil counters that argument by pointing to the employment opportunities the project has provided thus far. Thousands of people are employed in both Chad and Cameroon, and 85% of them come from local villages.
Before this project started, year 1999, year 2000, the growth of Chad was 1%. GDP growth of Chad was 1%. We started construction activity at the end of year 2000. Growth in Chad in 2001 was 9%.
Yet critics say those figures are minuscule when compared with the millions that ExxonMobil stands to make. And as construction of the Chad-Cameroon pipeline nears completion, there are even calls for a re-evaluation of the project to ensure that development does indeed come to towns such as this one in the heart of central Cameroon. Dumi Makabo, CNN, Bilone, Cameroon.